When we talk about British horror, we're usually talking about Tygon and Amicus and Hammer. We're talking about the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But there's been a real slew of great recent British horror films, and I want to hear what your favorites are. Hello, I'm Adam Cesare. This is Project Black T-shirt. Today I am in a white T-shirt because, hey, British horror. I'm a horror author with a bunch of books who has a YouTube channel, and on this YouTube channel we take new release a horror movie or a reissue horror movie, and then we pair it with a piece of horror literature that you will enjoy reading if you like that movie. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe, and check out the other videos on my channel. If you haven't already, we post about every week, roughly every week. Today we are talking about In Fabric, the new film from Peter Strickland. Strickland made Barbarian Sound Studio, the Duke of Burgundy. He has a very specific, though not all-encompassing style of taking kind of Euro horror tropes and infusing them into modern storytelling and modern filmmaking, and very beautiful, very mannered independent films. And In Fabric is no different, but in a lot of ways it's very different because it is a weird movie. This played the festival circuit and got a lot of acclaim and did really well, and a bunch of people were talking about it like over a year ago. A lot of people were talking about this film. A lot of my horror people that I follow, a lot of people that go to festivals, a lot of people that are not in this country got to see this film way before we in the United States got a chance to rent it. And then it kind of dropped off the map, and just recently my friend Scott Cole, author of Super Ghost and Triple Axe and a number of other great books and stories, he rented it and he was like, you gotta check this out, you gotta see this movie. So usually I wait for either streaming or disc because I'm a physical media collector, but I plunked down the $7, $8, whatever it is, to rent the movie on Amazon, and man am I glad I did. In Fabric, in short, is a story about a cursed or possessed or haunted dress. It is set shortly after the holidays, kind of the perfect time now to watch this movie. It is set shortly after the holidays. In Britain, I guess they have the sales, which come post-Christmas, and it's kind of a holiday unto itself. Woman goes to this department store, picks up a dress. It's not really quite her style. She's recently separated from her husband, living with her grown son, who's got a girlfriend that she doesn't really get along with, and she's really looking to kind of spice up her life. She's in a funk, so she buys this beautiful red dress from this creepy, cultish department store, and things start to go to hell in a handbasket. If that sounds like a funny premise or like a joke premise, it is, and the movie has moments of absurdist comedy in it, but it never feels atonal, and it never feels like a joke. It's not this isn't like Rubber or The Greasy Strangler. This movie's not doing a bit, even though it kind of is. It doesn't feel. It's a funny movie that never feels like a comedy, if that makes sense. It's got a really good cast of kind of familiar British faces. Marianne Jean-Baptiste plays the woman who gets the dress initially, and then the dress goes off on kind of its own adventures. Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones, Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones, plays the girlfriend. Steve Oram, who's kind of at this point a constant Ben Wheatley collaborator, plays her boss, one of her bosses at the bank she works at. These are small roles, but there's a lot of kind of opportunity for scene stealing in this, the way that this movie's set up. Almost anthology-esque, because characters come in, characters drop out. It is a movie that, if I would have read the description, or if I didn't have a good friend recommending it so heavily to me, it's a movie that I'd be like, yeah, that sounds interesting. I may never get around to that. That'll stay in my queue forever. I may not watch it because I'm not sure quite what the tone's going to be. I'm not sure if that's really what I want to sit down with for 2 hours and see this kind of joke movie, but it's not, and it's really, really beautifully shot. It has such a clear style throughout that isn't really aping any kind of period. It feels like a period film because there is that kind of Strickland-esque mannered style to the set dressing, to the set design, but it's never given a clear period. It seems like it's sometime in the British past, maybe the 70s. There are these really cool kind of hallucinogenic insert shots that are advertisements for the department store itself, and this department store has all the staff dressed in these elaborate kind of gothic black dresses, and there's this kind of Count Orlok like skeletal boss that's above them all and is kind of the concierge for this department store. Anytime someone has to interact with the staff at the department store, they are speaking plain English, very full of British slang, very realistic dialogue, and the staff is speaking in this heightened, sing-songy, very verbose, overly foreshadowing that they are this evil cult that is very obscure, and you see them doing their own things that are pseudo-sexual and pseudo-satanic goings-on in the department store when no one's in the department store. It is the dress, the haunted dress, even though that is the hook of the movie. This is a haunted dress movie. The haunted dress almost takes a complete backseat to all the other weirdness and digressions that the movie makes. I think the movie's stronger for it. It's not a movie where the dress is doing ridiculous physical harm and it becomes like puppetry and little bits of gore and kills and setups like that. It's not that kind of horror movie, and I think it's stronger for it. So style is a huge part of what this movie is, and a lot of people, when they approach movies like this, go for that, like, oh, well, it's style over substance kind of defense as to why they don't enjoy it or why they don't like it. I don't think this movie can be accused of that, because it's got a hell of a lot to say about consumerism, about sexual dynamics, and how we prepare for dates. You see like a couple of excruciating blind dates or dates out of the classifieds in this movie, and it's really incisive in what it has to say about that, while still being funny and entertaining and creepy. It's got a ton to say about British politics and British consumerism and how this works into their lives and how traditions work into their lives. We see a stag party, which is the very British version of a bachelor party, and how that gets all messed up with consumerism and fashion and sex and interpersonal relationships and marriage. There's rarely been a movie this silly that has this much on its mind, and it's very admirable. And as I said, it never stops being entertaining. It's a 2-hour movie that flies by, feels almost anthology in its construction because we're getting so many different things, which the one problem I had with the movie is that feeling of like, I like Marianne Jean-Baptiste's character so much that I wish the movie spent more time with her and more time with that family. But again, a minor complaint, and you can't really knock Strickland for wanting to be more zoomed out and all-encompassing in his scope in this film. Really, really liked it. For this week's book recommendation, one of the things In Fabric does incredibly well, and it's because of that great cinematography that we talked about, and it's because of Strickland knowing how to put a movie together, is it has an incredible tactile feel to it. It's sensuous in not the overly sensual way, but sometimes it is. It feels like it's a movie where you could feel like you can reach out and touch the screen and feel what the characters are feeling, and feel what environments smell like and look like in both gross ways and nice ways. And it very much reminded me of not a British author, a very American author, but Livia Llewellyn's short fiction, both in her collections, Engines of Desire and the later one, Furnace. Something she does very well in her work. Stories that feel, in both a nice way and an icky way, like you're there, like you're feeling things. I've recommended these books, I think, before separately, or I've maybe done it in articles and maybe haven't done it on a YouTube channel, but I highly, highly, highly recommend this author if you have not read her. Definitely an adults-only author if you're somehow a teen who stumbled onto the channel of a grown man talking about his Blu-ray collection. Probably not for you, but if you are okay with extreme horror and things that are taking in extreme directions, one of the best short story writers out there. Both these books are great. I think Engines of Desire came first, but they're not linked in any way. You can read them however you want, but they're both great. Okay, that was In Fabric and the works of Livia Llewellyn. I'm Adam Cesare. My book, Clown in the Cornfield, is up for pre-order now. It's got a nice Clive Barker blurb. It's got this beautiful Matt Ryan Tobin cover. It's out from Harper Teen in August, but you can pre-order it now and save yourself the trip to the store. I've also got several other novels, novellas, short story collections that you can go pick up right now in paperback, ebook, and audiobook if you like listening to things while you're doing the dishes or walking the dog, which I know I do. Thank you so much. Links for everything we've talked about are down below. If you click those links and buy stuff, it of course helps me and helps the channel. And thank you so much. Have a great week.